It's the season of joy. There was a little boy who came with his parents to pick out a Christmas tree. They came up to the Christmas tree sign at the shop and it said, "Get your live Christmas tree here." Little boy thought for a moment, "What? Get your live Christmas tree here?" And he went up to the salesman, began to pull on his coat and said, excuse me, why is this Christmas tree that's been chopped down called a live Christmas tree?" "Well, very simple," said the salesman. "You see, it's the season of joy. And it's dead, but it doesn't know it. This tree is having the time of its life." This is the season where you're invited to have the time of your life. Why? It's the season of joy. It's a season of great jubilation. It's a season of great expectation of the desires of our heart unfolding. It's a season filled with great hope and anticipation because we celebrate a wonderful feeling of love unfolding in our world in a fresh new way. So it is today we've lit a candle that signifies joy. It's a jubilation Sunday. It's our invitation to really welcome the power of joy in our lives. That feeling of infinite possibilities unfolding for us. We become so filled with joy. We're very happy when we think about what's yet to come. Some of you are very filled with joy, shall we say? Filled with expectation about what's underneath that Christmas tree. Some of you may be looking at those packages and that gift giving and the sharing of what's going to go on to celebrate this holiday of joy. And that joy rises up and fills you because you're thinking, wow, what is yet to come? Ever wonder why we wrap these Christmas presents up? Well, it's because we like that feeling of surprise and joy. It's like, wow, I love this, whether it's a real feeling or that faked feeling, that moment when you open, oh, really? I love it. What is it? Oh, yes, great. The Ronco slicer dicer. Okay, great. And the Jinsu knives and the socks and underwear, all these kind of things. Whoa. There may be some wonderful gifts that you too are excited about. But sometimes it's joy, whether it's real or fake joy. It's what we look forward to, those expressions as we celebrate this season of gift giving. When we're filled with joy and happiness and triumph and delight and pleasure, that's what it's all about. What happens is our lives are open. That's right, we're open to new possibilities. Joy opens up the very essence of the being, the very essence of your feelings and emotions. It opens you up to be receptive to something even more. When you're filled with joy, you're excited, you're filled with enthusiasm, a vibrational level rises up within you that's higher than ever before because that joy is filled with kind of an expectation. There's a greater love, a greater connection with good. This season of this spirit then unfolds something just beautiful of what is yet to come. You think about the stories at Christmas time of Scrooge and the bah humbug spirit. He was transformed from the bah humbug to one who's celebrated with great joy this feeling of Christmas. And then wondering, is it still time? Is there still time left in the story for me to go about and celebrate the season? You see, the transformation that happened in his life were this opportunity to welcome prospects of joy. Moving from humbug to saying there's prospects and possibilities. That's what joy does for us. History tells us of those miners who were part of a great gold rush in our western expansion across the United States. There were those who had gone ahead and moved out to California, experiencing that gold rush as prospectors. They were going out there seeking a good fortune, a better life. They were prospectors of people who said, I seek out success. And they arrived there with their hearts filled with the dreams of a bright future. Success was right there at their fingertips. They began to say, there's gold in them there hills. And I think that's the spirit of joy that says there's gold, there's wonderful blessings, there's prospects of possibilities within our hearts and our lives. When we're filled with jubilation and joy, it opens our lives to all these things that are there. These motivated miners who traveled from the east all the way to the west coast to find and discover their great fortune were now filled up with a fever a fever of joy that said, come on, we're all going to find success. We're going to find blessing. Come on. And wagon trains began to form, and people began to leave the East Coast and travel across the mountaintops, trying to get to a place where joy had motivated them. We call it a gold rush fever, but I want to say it was a joy fever. And today, you and I are called to grasp a spiritual essence of joy fever within our hearts and our lives, to pass that on. For this joy is this emotion evoked by well-being, by success, by good fortune, by the prospect of possessing what one desires. Now, this Christmas story that we've read today, just a brief portion of Scripture, is the unfolding of this great truth for our lives. It's the story of Mary, the young girl, visited by an angel. Angels being those wonderful messengers that come, those very, whether it be in thought or an idea that come to us. And Mary unfolding this wonderful truth within her life of her great joy that something amazing is about to happen. The prospect, the possibilities are unfolding for her that something great is about to unfold. Her story is our story. I love this about Scripture. Is that when we understand how to read the Bible, it's that wonderful journey of putting yourself into every story. You know, an author writes a book, and his desire or her desire as that author is that you might see yourself as that character. No matter who it may be, English writers from the past, whether it be great novelists of our future or our present, they're inviting you to experience something, and they want you to see yourself as that character. You may go to a movie and you understand the script is there because they all want you to be Princess Leia in Star Wars, or they all want you to be Luke Skywalker, or whatever it may be that the film that you're going to see, the invitation is, we want you to feel and experience what it's like to be this character. So it is for the ancient writers of Scripture. They were writing stories full of metaphor and symbolism, never meant to be taken literally, because that would diminish the spiritual truth. It would diminish the power. It would then become some sort of story of history, or trying to evoke some sort of lesson that might be there just for us to look at and read and go, well, what does that mean for me today? So Mary had a baby. What does that mean for me today? How does that evoke this feelings of joy for me right here and now? You see, it's our story, so we're invited to put ourselves in there, to place ourselves in that story, because it's our story and we begin there. That we too then have this wonderful message that is coming to us, that there are possibilities, prospects, things that you might mine, shall we say, out of this world to pull forward, that they're available to you to see your highest and best. This Scripture says that Mary, receiving this wonderful message, ponders this in her mind. Meaning she held this in her consciousness. She thought it. She mulled it over and over. I think that it's one who may have just kind of took time to say, let's just think about it. What does this really mean? And how does this unfold for me? She held this in consciousness, and she began then to express it in a song called the Magnificat. Mary began to sing of that possibility and sing of the prospects with her life. You see, the joy of this season is found in that which we may hold in consciousness, what we're holding in mind, what was going on within our thoughts. Because you know what? Our thoughts create our reality. You know what? You think you're thin, you are thin. You think you're fat? Honey, you're fat. You know, because I can't change your belief systems, because you believe it. If you believe you're a failure, you are a failure. If you believe you're a success, you are a success, because it's all about your belief and the power of your believing. So that which you hold in consciousness is so important, that we live in a world where the opinions around us may be that the world is falling apart, there's chaos, that there's all kinds of bad news. We're really hearing about the fires in California, the famine in the places of the world, where the chaos and the wars that are rising up. It may want to rob our joy. Remember, you have the choice to choose what you will think about, what you will hold in consciousness. Mary had the choice. I can think about the joy of this, Or I can think about the challenge and the things that would maybe obstacles in my life of giving birth to this child. But instead, the symbolism there of the unfolding of the story is we put ourselves in this story and we become the Mary. We begin to ponder and we choose to celebrate the joy of possibilities that are there in our life as we think about what we might birth, what we might bring forth. Because we too are called to be that Mary in the modern day world, to celebrate with choice the consciousness and ponder the prospects of good, to say, I'm so happy, I got a job. I'm so thrilled, I got a dog. And I did. I got a dog this week. And I'm thrilled about it. And I'm so happy because, maybe you may say, I'm so happy because he called me. Or maybe you're like Prince Harry in this wonderful engagement when he's saying, you know, I'm over the moon. I'm so happy. I'm filled with this joy flooding my whole being and soul. Joy was found in these future prospects to give birth to something. That's where we look at this story and say, you and I are each called to give birth to something. What is it we will birth? What is it we will bring forth in the journey of our lives? What is it we're going to share with the world around us? And in this case, the story symbolizes this wonderful son that would be called Emmanuel, meaning God with us. And I want to tell you, that's you and I, called to give birth to this wonderful lesson of God with us. God with us, always being with us, never leaving nor forsaking us. And as we understand these prospects, we realize that God is with us, God is in us, God is flowing through us, and God is always around us. For when we understand this, the beauty is, again, put yourself in this story, no matter what your gender may be, because I love this about the Bible. It's an invitation for you to see yourself. It doesn't matter if you're a man and say, well, I can't be Mary, I'm a man. Or I can't be Peter or Moses, I'm a woman. I can't be this or that. But let's just pause for a moment. Don't we understand the very Genesis story in wonderful metaphor and lesson for us, saying that woman came from man. So everything that was in man is in woman, and everything that was in woman was in man. And so we understand that we all have femininity and we all have masculinity, and how important that is that we awaken to that and we realize our completeness and our fullness. And I think it's a wonderful journey when we all take time to realize I have a Mary side and I have a Joseph side, and I can welcome both of those into my life. I have the male and the female, and I can welcome both of those into my consciousness so I can put myself in these stories. And one day I might see myself as a modern day Moses leading people across the desert land to a promised land, a home. I may see myself as a Ruth and Naomi, as a man, but I may see myself in those who express such great devotion and commitment. Whatever the Bible story may be, you see yourself in there because it's trying to tell you, teach you, show you how to live your life with great prospects and possibilities. So Mary said, wait a minute, how can I give birth when I've not known a man? And that same question may be for each and every one of us. How can we give birth to something great when we may feel like we need someone else to make something happen within our lives? And so often we're waiting for someone else, waiting for our mom or dad to do something within us to help us give birth to possibilities. Or we're waiting for some teacher or school or something to happen within our life, or we're waiting, someday I'll give birth to a possibility. Someday I'll let my greatness come forward. Someday, but I'm waiting for something else or someone else to help facilitate that and make that happen in my life. The very story from Scripture is inviting us to understand that we don't need someone else to make something happen within us. The choice is ours when we choose. For the Scriptures said all along, as you believe, so shall you receive. If you believe it, and that's your choice to believe it or not believe it. It's your choice. Because trust me, if someone else could influence our choices or someone else could make choices for us, we certainly would. I, as your pastor, would make choices for you. I would make lots of choices for you. I would choose all kinds of things for your spiritual growth and development, but I can't make those choices. You make those choices yourself. Your mom and dad can't make choices for you. The world around you can't make choices. They may try, but you know what? In the end, you will always choose your own journey. And this spiritual truth from this beautiful lesson, as Mary would say, how am I going to give birth to something so amazing when I've not known a man? And we may say the very same thing. How am I going to give birth to something amazing in this world with possibilities and blessings and great prospects? How's it going to happen? It's your choice. It's the choosing and the ability to believe and to welcome this within our hearts and our lives. For something divine was unfolding through Mary. That's the lesson for us to understand, that this great joy does not require someone else to work. It's ours to choose. So this messenger of God is saying, whatever you birth, it will be great with unlimited possibilities. In that King James vernacular that you may read from the book of Matthew, it says, his name shall be called Emmanuel, and his kingdom shall have no end. There will be unlimited possibilities. I want to invite you to understand that the great writers of the book of Matthew are trying to unfold for you this truth, that when you awaken to this understanding, that you are amazing, gifted, talented, for the divine is within you, then suddenly you awaken up to this understanding that there's unlimited possibilities for you. No matter what the world may say, no matter what the environment around you may say, no matter what your community may say, no matter what society may say, you know that this truth is there for you. Unlimited possibilities are there for you as well. For what was happening within Mary was this spiritual birth or virgin birth, because every virgin birth is a spiritual birth. Every spiritual birth is a virgin birth. It is born in purity. When you have a spiritual birth within your life, an awakening, it's pure, it's beautiful, it's full of holiness, it's full of wonderful fulfillment of the divine within our lives. So it is that in this beautiful story, the lesson for us is an understanding of pure awakening and a call for us, each and every one, wake up, wake up. Wake up to this personal experience of a wonderful awakening, that there are prospects and possibilities, and capture this joy fever that wants to run through our lives and hopefully through our culture and society, that we pass on jubilation, saying there is amazing things yet to come. For what's it like when we begin to think of this Emmanuel, this God within us? God in us. Wow. First of all, that's so powerful. It transforms our whole life when we grasp this concept. God within us. God here. So many of us have tried to look for God in other places, in the sky, in the heavens, all around, thinking God is this big man in the sky somewhere out there. Yet all of Scripture is inviting us to understand that the kingdom of heaven is within. And when we awaken to that, it's God within. That's why the Scripture says God will never leave you nor forsake you. And you may think, well, wait a minute, I think God's left me because God's way up in heaven. God's way up in the sky. God's far removed from me. God is this divine presence, this wonderful love that will never, ever leave you nor forsake you. Now, the world may try to say that God will turn its back on you, try to punish you. But that is contrary to any teaching within the Scriptures, for it's unfolding this great truth that God is love. And you are created in that image, created in that likeness. So if God is love, so are you. I shared in our class on Thursday morning that, I had spent quite a bit of time in England, and of course they would always say, hello, love, hello, love. And I loved that because I thought about that, wow, that's right, hello, love. That's who I am. I am love. I am God revealed in this moment. God with us. God in us. I am that love. And when we awaken to that truth, it transforms our whole life. Turn to your neighbor and say, hello, love. Come on, right now. Hello, love. That's right. Let's start recognizing. You know what? There is love revealed in this room. I think you all did a great job. I think we're ready for a little tea and crumpets right now. Hello, love. I think you're getting it down pat. But I think it's all about this awakening to understanding who we really are. God in us. Love in us. Right here, now, in this moment. Suddenly we welcome then to understanding Emmanuel means God through us. We sang this chorus, "You are the face of God." How do we see God and experience God? We see it revealed in the love shared with one another, the loving acts that we share, the great joy that we bring to one another in jubilation and celebration. That's how God is experienced through. God is working through us. It's something that we can share with one another. A lot of people say, well, this Christmas, I am a limited budget. I really don't have the possibilities to give much. I don't know what to share. I'm kind of limited. I would like to give great gifts. Oh, let me tell you, the great gift you can give is simply, I give love. I allow love to flow in and through me. We get caught up in the idea of expensive gifts and thinking that's a real demonstration of how much we love someone. How expensive was the price tag on that present that we share with someone else? But what people really want in the gift-giving experience is the acknowledgement of love flowing through us, that you love me, you cared enough for me, that you wanted to share this gift. So it's not about the expense of the gift, it's the love that you're sharing. Allow God to flow through you in powerful ways that transforms the world around you. Then it's God all around us. God in us, God through us, and God all around us. Because let me tell you, if God's in you, and God's in you, and God's in you, and God's in you, well, we've got God all around us. Because there's God over there, there's God over here, there's God dwelling in each and every one of us. So when we awaken to that, we realize that, wow, the power of love can be experienced in so many shapes, so many forms, so many different dynamics. We sang that song as we opened up, "Let your love flow like a bird on a wing." We sang that song that really calls us to let us see and experience that love of God unfolding in so many different shapes and ways through one another. We often share this phrase, namaste, meaning the God in me sees the God in you. And how powerful that is when we awaken to this very truth within our lives. The God in me sees the God in you. It's not the physical me sees the physical you, that I'm looking at your body and your type and your size, your height, your hair color, your eye color. I'm looking to see the God in you. That is the real you. And when we awaken to this, we understand, wow, that whole essence of namaste is I see something beautiful. I see the revelation of love in you. It is in you and through you and around you. And here's the creme de la creme, the cherry on the icing. It is the piece de resistance. God always for us, in us, through us, around us, but always for us. That's the difficult thing we have, because quite often God has been represented as a punisher, a judger, not always feeling like God is really for us. But let me tell you this, God is love, and love always wants your highest and best. So when we look at Scripture, we look at its unfolding for us and understanding of what God is. Not a being, not a man, not a place somewhere in the heavens, but that love that is felt and experienced in one another. And that love is always for us. I have 2 kids. I'm a dad. And I know I love my kids. Oh, but they always haven't been perfect. But one of the things I tried to establish for them is that I'm your dad, and I love you, and I'm always going to try to find a way for your highest and best to be experienced. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to do everything I can to make this possible, that you get to experience your highest and best. What it is that are the desires of your heart. Now, I may not always know how, but that may be your choice, I told my kids. My son, well, he wanted to be a white rapper. Okay, I want your highest and best. Now, I tried to convince him into trying something a little different to set himself up like country and western rap. We could call it crap. I thought that would be great. But it didn't quite work out that way. But I wanted him to experience his highest and best, so we did everything we could to help him experience this. He was number 99 on the University of Minnesota playlist as the white rapper. I was so proud of him. I wanted him to see and experience what he could do, his highest potential, always there. My daughter, well, she wanted to be in broadcast journalism. She wanted to be, open the doors through pageantry. She became Miss Georgia, Miss Minnesota. She was Miss All-American. She was first runner-up Miss American Beauty. She was in the Miss USA pageant. She was, you name it, the titles began to go on and on. All opening doors for her. Why? Because I wanted her highest and best. I share this to say, I'm just a human. The divine power of God is love and wants your highest and best, more than just to be a rapper or more than to be a pageant queen. It's to be that which you desire as you see the prospects and possibilities, as you begin to claim the joy within your life. For love is always working on your behalf. And when we understand that, we release these kind of apprehensions about who and what God is, as if God is some sort of punisher, always looking over our shoulder, always ready to somehow judge, but realize that God is this love empowering you every step of the way. So today, this text is all about a wonderful spiritual awakening for our lives and an awakening to the power of joy. Joy within our lives, that there are prospects and possibilities, for God is ever making the way possible for you to birth something amazing, to birth something with unlimited possibilities, to birth the divine in and through you as well, as you put yourself in the story as Mary today. I want you to know the prospects are many, the possibilities are infinite, and I invite you to catch a joy fever. I want you to claim and live your life every single day that says, there's gold in them there hills, and I'm going after it, you know? There's joy to be expressed because I'm going after that which is my highest and best. I'm going after it because I know that God in me, God through me, God around me, and always for me is making it possible for me to birth the amazing. Amen.